Hey, this is Jim with Jimmy Riggs, and it's been a while, but I wanted to show you guys kind of what I've been working on over the last few weeks and months in my home studio. A few things have changed, added some more gear. I acquired a Prophet Rev 2, which is awesome. It's actually what I use at church, and so I was pretty happy to get in the studio. I found that in Sonic VFX SD. Locally for a killer price, and then I also kind of re-pulled out the Yamaha DX7 II, as well as a Yamaha RX11 drum machine. I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit. Anyway, so the reason I'm making this video is I've undergone quite a few big changes in the studio over the last few months or so. So previously I had been using two Silverface Apollo quads, and a desktop twin as my glorified volume knob, and I was very happy with it. Thought I was very happy with it, and then I went down the rabbit hole of conversion quality. It's one of those things where you don't know what maybe you're missing until you just go down the rabbit hole. Like I said before, I was very happy with the Apollos. There was one thing though that I wanted to kind of put together like a proof of concept of the to see if conversion quality between older Apollos and newer Apollos was that big of a deal. So I had a newer Apollo twin, which supposedly has upgraded converters on the output side, or the digital to analog side. And I wanted to just see if I were to replace my primary monitoring Apollo with the twin, see if it would if there'd be any noticeable audio difference or increase in audio quality. And I was really surprised. I was really surprised that I got just a little bit more better like depth of image. Stereo field felt a little wider, and things just generally sounded less smeared, I guess you could say. And then that kind of led me down further deeper of the rabbit hole. So I had a few options. I like UAD. I like their system, monitoring through console, all that kind of stuff. The latency in a DAW, if you're not monitoring through it, is not the best. It's not terrible either. So it's I just wanted to expand my horizons with the equipment that I have, or the access to equipment. So I had heard through the grapevine the Antelope Audio made some really great hardware. RME made some really great hardware, and then of course studio guys that I know, they're big fans of Burl. The whole shebang, right? So I ended up testing this idea, starting out testing with the Apollo twin, and then eventually getting, realizing that the audio difference I was impressed by the audio quality difference. So my options were, okay, I can get a newer Apollo, like a 16 or an 8. I think it's the X8P or something like that. I could get one of those and sell my other Apollos. The problem I had there was that the UAD stuff is expensive as it is, and while the conversion quality is good, I know that you can get better converters out there. So then talked to my buddies at Sweetwater, talked to my buddies at Vintage King, and basically said, hey, what are my options? I don't really care for tracking with plugins, so tracking through console, while it was nice for lower latency, it didn't really matter to me. So I wasn't drawn to, hey, buy our interface and you get our load of plugins. Like, sure, that's a nice perk, but it's just not a big deal to me. As a principle, I always want to get the sound, as close, or an approximation as close as possible directly at the source, which is why I have so much damn hardware. Rack stuff, rack effects, my pedals, reamp stuff, reamp boxes, all that kind of stuff. So talked to some people who, some studio guys that I know who they loved Antelope audio. So I went ahead and bought an Antelope Orion Studio Synergy Core, one of the newer ones. And I was, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I've heard horror stories of software, driver stability, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a week or two. If I like it, then I'll just list my Apollos. Because honestly, the big advantage of the big advantage of the Antelope audio stuff is that the conversion quality is unreal. So I mean, especially when you're coming from an older Apollo system, I noticed a difference when I tried out my newer Twin compared to my Silverface quad. But then when I switched between the Twin and the Antelope audio, game over. I was just so impressed with it. Routing, I'm familiar with patch base and I know how to get all that kind of stuff routed, so I wasn't really worried about learning the software. There's always a learning curve no matter what. So, I spent about an hour working with the Antelope audio software, got it running, very happy with it, and then fortunately not during a session, but then kind of in the middle of nowhere, the software crashed. And then I had to uninstall it, then reinstall it. That happened probably 2 or 3 times with the Antelope stuff. So I was optimistic that I could make the Antelope audio stuff work for me. I was, crossing fingers, hoping, hey, like I want to make this work because, I want premium sound quality for the projects that I'm working on. In a world of, Focusrite Scarletts, in a world of Twins and whatever, which they're great, and all of them are great, I want to stand out. I want to stand out above the rest, and as well as wanting to be able to expand the systems. One of the things I liked about the Antelope stuff was especially, like the Orion 32, 32 analog I/O at a great price, especially if you buy them using by an older Orion for $1,200, $1,000. I've seen some sub $1,000, and the amount of I/O you get for that is really unrivaled, as well as the conversion quality. Things like MADI connectivity, obviously ADAT, just the sheer amount of I/O. So I was so optimistic for seeing that I could make the Antelope stuff work. Ultimately, it didn't. Around that same time, I was still looking through Reverb, talking to my buddies at Sweetwater and Vintage King, and unanimously everyone else was like, well, RME is really the next best step. About equals in terms of conversion quality, but driver stability is, everyone who uses RME knows that, hey, they support things back to like Windows 7, way back when, Windows 90, whatever. Maybe not Windows 95, but anyway, you get the idea. And they develop their own drivers too. So they develop their own drivers. It's not being built up by a third party, or it's not using just standard core audio like I heard Apogee does. Apogee was another company I was looking at as well. But it was for what I wanted, the amount of I/O that I wanted, the ability to expand it. It's just not going to happen, and I'm not on Pro Tools, so buying an Apogee something or whatever with HDX cards wasn't really an option for me either. So around the same time, talking to everyone, they're all recommending, hey, try RME. They're great, yada yada yada. So I'm like, cool. Let's try one out. Let's order one, and then I'll return the Antelope once I can compare them. And of course, chip shortage, supply chain stuff, all that is going on in the world, and there's none of them for sale anywhere. None of them for sale anywhere in the world. Even if I wanted to pay more just to get one. So I got so lucky. I was on Reverb one night. as I was about to start the process of returning the Antelope stuff, and I found this listing for a Fireface UFX Plus and an ADAT or a MIDI controlled ADAT preamp expander from PreSonus, a Digimax DP88. The guy was selling both of them. So I messaged the guy, said, "Hey, I really want this. Would you be willing to kind of make a deal for both of them?" You know, and so he basically sold me the Fireface UFX Plus and the DP88 for under the cost of a brand new Fireface UFX Plus. So got that in, got it all set up. I still have the Antelope. I was comparing it to, had them wired so that I could quickly reference back and forth between the two different interfaces and the converters and everything. I even tried running audio out of the Apollo into one of the other, set up my patch rate so I could hear the difference in sound quality. And I couldn't find that much of a difference between RME and the Antelope stuff. So because of the driver stability problems with Antelope, and because of the driver stability, praises that RME has, I settled with the Fireface. So right now in the studio, I'm running an RME Fireface UFX Plus as my main interface. Quick run through specs. It has 4 mic inputs on it, and it has 8 line inputs on it. Has I think 8 or 10. I think it's 8 line outputs on the back, which is pretty cool. Obviously, 2 of them are used for your monitors, so it doesn't really matter. 2 headphone outs, and it looks like they support high impedance headphones. So my Neumanns, I always struggle to get good level with the Apollos using them. With the Fireface, no problem. And honestly, and I did have some problems with the Antelope as well. So whatever RME is doing with their headphones, great. Really happy with that. And also, I'm super happy to have the ADAT preamp thing too. Prior to that, I was using a Focusrite ADAT expander thing, and it was fine. I wanted a few options though. I was finding myself in this little bit of a pickle where I wanted preamps so that I could have extra channels to mic up a small group. I don't know what I was thinking. I have 8 channels of mic preamps that are MIDI controllable at the ready for whenever I want to use it. The other thing that stood out to me about the Digimax DP88 was that you could turn off the preamps on any of the 8 channels. So I have that basically allows me, not at the same time, it basically gives me the option between 16 inputs, 8 preamps, and then 8 just line in, just conversion. And I like that because then I can have like my tape machine set up, as well as my reverbs or my preamps or synthesizers or my compressors or whatever. So between all this, it gives me, I have 12 channels of 12 audio channels, analog audio channels on the RME, and then 16. Well, it's really 8, so 20 total. Well, sorry, 20 that can be used at the same time as well, but 16 if I wanted to split it up. Anyway, complicated, beside the point. So I'm using the Fireface. What do I do about my UAD stuff? I just had to play the long game and list my Apollos. So I sold my Apollo Twin first. Someone from my church was interested, so I sold it to her. Very, very happy with her. She's very, very happy with it. Got her set up. She's good. And then I had my 2 Apollos sitting in my rack, listed on Reverb, listed on Facebook, listed on Craigslist for over a month. But I finally sold all of them, and I could not be happier. I'm so happy with the RME stuff. The routing capabilities are next level. You have your different modes that you can use, where you can have it set up to where it's DAW mode, where it's just interfacing through your DAW, which is cool. You can have the full mixer mode where you have everything at the ready. It's nuts. And then of course in their software called Total Mix, you can route anything wherever, all just within. Super great. The other reason I ended up landing with the RME is it gave me a lot of opportunities to expand in the future. So I had already done some stuff with ADAT. I had not done anything with Dante or AVB or MADI or anything like that. So when I saw the RME had MADI connectivity on the back, that basically opens me up to an extra 64 channels of I/O, which is just crazy to me. My studio is, I think, 12 foot by 11 by 10 foot. And the whole idea behind me wanting to expand the space is because I want to have everything that can make sound available at the ready, just ready to go. So, I want to have all my keyboards just wired and ready to go, and I don't have to change any channels or do anything like that. Like, the whole idea of I want my creativity to not be stifled by me having to go and add more channels into a session. So everything is just ready to go. I can get started with creating stuff with people, and we're all just here and we're off to the races. So I don't have any MADI stuff yet. Looking at the Ferrofish Pulse 16, also looking at finding maybe an old Antelope Orion. Because of the conversion quality and MADI connectivity, get 32 channels of I/O for $1,000. Yeah, hell yeah. So that's what I've been up to. Right now, I'm in a very, very happy place with the studio. Little thing for my amps, my third power, Mesa Boogie Mark V. My matchless is right behind there, behind the camera. Tape machine. Everything's just wired in and ready to go. So the only thing I ever have to do is just press a button to turn the rack on, the powers, all the keyboards, and my amps, and I can just go ahead and start creating. And I'm really, really, really happy with it. I'm a little bummed about the I don't have some of my UAD plugins anymore, but the long game says, hey, UAD Spark and UADX, the native plugins, they're going to come. So fortunately, I still have my API channel strip plugins. I still have my Studer tape things. I don't have the HER tape machine anymore. I don't have the reverbs, some of the reverbs and delays. So it's a bit of a catch, but it is what it is, and you do what's best for you in the moment. I might pick up a satellite, maybe an Octo satellite, just so I can have access to them again, because I do love the tape plugins. I do love the drum room, the Capitol stuff. I love it all. Just I wanted better conversion quality, and I didn't want to spend $4,000 for a X16 that is better than consumer, but not quite pro level. So, in the spirit of elevating my space, that's why I did everything. I did everything that I did in my studio. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really excited for the future of everything I'm doing here in my space. I think I'm going to start offering reamping services. I just got more into reamping lately, and I'm just so unbelievably happy with it. So offering, guitar, play on your stuff, record, produce. I'm not ready to mix. I don't really like mixing. I much rather produce and create stuff. Reamping. So if you guys need anything or want any guitar stuff, keys stuff, synth stuff, reamp stuff, whatever you want, I'm here. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, Facebook at Jimmy Riggs. And that's all for today. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.